Hello and welcome to Book Circle. I'm Earl Weinberg, and I have a couple of guests here at this time, Dave Kennard and Dot. And Dave is here to talk to us about the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. And so Dave, I understand you were involved with it from the very beginning. Where did it start?
Well, it actually started initially, the first festival over in Vermont, which has nothing to do with New Hampshire, but the New Hampshire sheep breeders back then decided this would be a good educational thing to start out. And there was a big interest in sheep then and now, which is really exciting. So we started a 1 or 2 day program where we would give New Hampshire's youth a chance to come in and show what they knew about sheep, and also make it educational so that people could come and learn how to raise sheep. And then from there, it started to develop into a spinning and weaving and dyeing thing. And I must say that all the proceeds from the festival go back to the sheep breeders and then generate scholarships for kids interested in agriculture. So it's really quite a good thing that way. And this will be our 40th year.
My goodness, okay. And I gather in the early days when it was in New Hampshire, it was near here?
Yeah, we started, the first festival was in New Boston, right next town, and at the New Boston Fairgrounds. And we were there many, many years, and then we eventually outgrew it. And we moved to Hopkinton, and then we moved from Hopkinton, now we're at Deerfield. And it's going to be the 9th and 10th of May, both days, different programs over in the Deerfield Fairgrounds. Okay. It's not just for sheep people, it's for the general audience too, and there's going to be a lot of activities such as, well, educational ones. There'll be spinning and weaving and dyeing and knitting. There'll be Angora rabbits, llamas, alpacas, sheep, goats, and then there'll be programs for little children to take felted animals and take felting and make little animals out of it, that kind of thing. There'll be a contest with the youth through extension, showing and fitting their sheep. People that are interested have never seen a sheep shorn before. There'll be ongoing shearing festivals. I'm going to be there, that's why this dog is here, and my son, and we do some sheep dog demonstrations where we explain to the people how intelligent these dogs are and how they can move animals. I happen to own a large farm and move hundreds of sheep with dogs all the time.
So tell us a little more about Dot and her breed.
Who's falling asleep in my lap. So Dot is a border collie. There are many good breeds of dogs that herd, and there's actually about over 50 breeds of dogs that are involved in either guarding, herding, or driving. And the reason that I use border collies, and most of the trial dogs that compete are borders, but there's all kinds of different trials, is that the border collie doesn't move animals by barking. They move animals by energy. They have a very powerful sort of predatory stare that moves animals. So they become the predator, and the sheep and the goats and even big 2,000-pound cows are afraid of these dogs. So out west they have lots of dogs moving 5,000 cattle kind of thing.
Now, Dot right now is gazing adoringly at Dave, but if you were to meet her face to face, you would be quickly impressed by the power of her gaze.
That's true. And we have a thing called a strong-eyed dog and a weak-eyed dog. And speaking of that, I know that you're interested in books. Right. I would say to your audience that anybody who's interested in learning about these, because these dogs are an eye dog, this is a book that's put out by Virgil Holland. It's called Herding Dogs, Progressive Training. And it's a very good how to work these dogs. One of the very fast-growing sports is actually dog trialing, where it's a competition and the dogs have to move 3 animals through a series of panels and the like. Now Dot looks like she's asleep, but she's actually just sick of hearing me talk.
Now, you talked about working her, and of course she is a working dog. Are these dogs also good pets?
Thank you for bringing that up, Earl. I do not, and I repeat, I do not recommend you get these dogs as pets by themselves, because they have a lot of energy, and if you don't constructively channel it, it can become destructive. I know lots of people who get the dogs well-meaning as puppies, and I'm not saying it can't happen, but they're not meant to sit around all day long. If you're going to, run miles, or you're going to play a sport, or you're going to, bike and hike and all, maybe it's fine. But these dogs, and I just want to say one more thing about these dogs. So they are considered to be the smartest dogs in the world, and there's a border collie in Germany with a vocabulary of over 3,000 words. What makes them smart, which is interesting, is over the years they have been chosen for their intelligence and not their looks. So we have red ones, brown ones, black and white ones, long-haired, short-haired, but they have the common denominator of herding. So anyway, that's just a small part of the festival. We're going to have a lot of other things going on.
You mentioned llamas and alpacas. Would we see them, would they just be there? Would they be being shorn? Would they be being shown?
Good. There'll be, so there will be llamas there that will be both there to represent guarding llamas. I have, as I said, a large farm, and we have 3 guard llamas that guard the sheep in remote pastures. There'll also be llamas there that will be shown. That's correct. There'll be a lot of alpacas, because the Alpaca Association of New England has their annual gathering there, and people can go over and see them and touch them, and yes, indeed, watch them being clipped. So that's going to be fun. And then there'll be somebody that actually gathers that wool and cards it, and then spins it and makes something with it.
I see. So all the way from the animals back to a sweater.
We call that a sheep. It used to, when we started the festival, and one quick little thing, you'll like this, when it was in New Boston, we had a festival event which was called a sheep to shawl, and teams of youth and teams of older people would actually grab a sheep, the shearer would, he would shear it, they would then card it, that means make it parallel, spin it, and weave a shawl all in a time frame, and the quality of the shawl and the artistic nature would be judged. Well, ABC Wide World of Sports got a hold of this, and I can't remember, back in the 80s, they actually came and filmed it as an unusual contest.
Yes, I would say it is.
So that's still done to this day. I'm not sure this year, I have to apologize if they're having that, but there will be plenty of opportunity for the youth to come and actually sit at a loom or card or spin, so that's kind of nice.
And of course, the central animal there will be sheep.
Right.
Roughly how many breeds of sheep? Any idea?
Well, that's a good question. We have a very nice lady, Nadine Chernay, is going to be running the breed display, and I think last I knew she had over 20 different breeds, so they'll be in pens. And so if you're considering raising a sheep, and is it a meat animal, is it a wool animal, is it, what is it? It's a good opportunity to talk to people. And I suggest that anybody, as it said, remotely interested in getting into sheep should attend this festival to learn before they even buy anything. But people who are just spinners and knitters want to come to this to collect some of the great yarns that people are selling. We have a lot of vendors. I think there's going to be over 100 vendors there with things like yarn and sheepskins and wool and, you name it.
One aspect of any fair are the food booths. Now, I think you brought a book about food relating to the fair.
Yes, I did. And actually, this is a great opportunity for people to help out the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Growers Association. This is a cookbook that they put together by local people, and it's got it's recipes from local people on not just meat, but vegetables, lamb, stew. There's a person from Littleton, New Hampshire, and Landolph, and all kinds of things. And it's only $10, and it's the proceeds, as I say, go to help educate young youth in veterinary practices and the like. So that's living off the lamb. Do you get it?
Yes, right.
Okay.
So.
Dottie seems a little tired here.
Right, yes.
These dogs are taught to, when I say that'll do, they totally unwind. If I blow a whistle, they're ready to go. So we just brought her along to be an attraction to this little interview.
And I'm sure she is. What all do you do with the sheep at the fair? Obviously, they get herded in the dog demos. They get shorn.
Yep.
What else?
Well, they will be judged. The Cooperative Extension, by the way, folks, is a wonderful way to get information on how to raise sheep. how to feed them, that kind of thing. And so the cooperative extension people like Jolie Chase and all will be there to help the youth fit and show their sheep. So in other words, if you're showing a breed, it's got to be trimmed just so and look just so. So there'll be a chance for people to sit down and watch these animals being paraded. So that's going to be done. As I said, they will be being shorn, which is very exacting science. You have to hold the animal exactly the right way so you don't nick it. And then, I shouldn't say this, but there's actually going to be lamb served there too. So those people that would like to try a little lamb, there'll be some food vendors for that. And then you get a chance to see a lot of clothing that's made by the youth from their own wool. So it's really...
Now, you mentioned the extension. Not everyone will know what that is. Could you describe the extension service?
So your tax dollars, folks, in conjunction with the University of New Hampshire and the USDA, support a cooperative extension. It's an arm of the university that is an educational arm in all aspects, not just animal husbandry, but horticulture, cooking, all kinds of things. It's a wonderful program, and it's free. So your extension office, I believe, is in Goffstown. It's over by the
county building.
County building, yep. And so if you have any interest in, as I said, a garden or raising animals or how to raise poultry or showing a horse or how to make a garment, that's there. And several of the speakers, Earl, at the festival will be extension agents talking. We have a good lineup. I think we have like, I don't know, maybe 30 educational programs going on.
Great.
So
wow.
That's kind of fun.
Can you list some of them? Describe them?
Well, sure. I know there's going to be people talking about some on the practical end of it, how to raise sheep, feeding sheep, nutritionally, that kind of thing. I'm going to be giving a talk, oddly enough, about the pros and cons of raising a border collie. What is positive and what's negative? There's going to be people that will show how to dye with natural dyes, or how to spin, or blending fibers, like say you take Angora rabbit and blend it with wool, that kind of thing. Felting, which is where you're mashing the wool. So a lot of educational programs. If they're interested, they'll all listed on our website, which is NSWGA, and you can, it's the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Growers Association. Go to the website, you have a complete listing, and find out if there's something that interests you.
Okay, great. So
She's funny.
Yes.
Well, she's at rest now. These dogs, Dottie herself knows about, she probably knows 25 whistles and maybe 50 or 60 commands. Things like clockwise, counterclockwise, slow down, speed up, get back, get up, get down, shed, bring me a sheep, all these things.
Don't dogs do that without being told?
That's a good word. Actually, like we have a large farm with hundreds of sheep, and let's say that we wanted to move 50 sheep, 4 miles away, and my trailer only holds 10 sheep. Doc can go in and actually separate out 10 sheep from the other 40 and put them in the trailer. That's called shedding. Very hard to do. She's good at shedding, aren't you?
As in put them in the shed.
Shed means to shed apart. If you shed, like she sheds her fur, so this is shedding apart. And the reason it's difficult is that the sheep, or any cow, any of those animals, only natural defense is sheer numbers. So every time you separate it, you get into a situation where they get scared. I'll be doing this at the festival in the dog demonstration. We'll be shedding, and in fact, sometimes we let people come in and try to herd the sheep, and then I go back and do it with the dogs.
Yes, well, I keep sheep, and the only way I've ever been able to guide them is to let them know that I'm holding a bowl of grain.
That works. You know what we call a bowl of grain?
What?
An American's version of a border collie. So that's what we do. Dot decides this is getting fun, huh?
Right.
Yeah, she
now
says.
The border collie is the border between Scotland and England, right?
That's right. What they did was, and I'll tell you, I mean, I don't want to make this whole thing about the dogs, but I'll tell you that.
But here she is.
Well, the reason why they were developed was they needed, a wolf will go and round up its prey and then eat it. So the dog has the instinct to herd anyways. And what they did was they found a dog that would go up and sort of take possession of the whole flock. some of these dogs are so sophisticated now in the borders of Scotland, England, that they can let, say, 5 farms with 200 sheep each let go in the common land, and at the end of the season, the dog will go and round up each of the 200 sheep and bring them back.
Only their own sheep.
I mean, and it's amazing. And we use, I won't do this because we're on TV, but we use a whistle. I won't blow it, but this is called a multi-tone whistle. And so I could play the Star Spangled Banner with it. It's just a piece of plastic, but some guys put their fingers in their mouth. I can't do that. But so come by, I would, you know, a little low, high, and if I wanted to go clockwise, it would be the reverse, that kind of thing. And it gets tricky when you're working, like if we move 100 sheep down a road, we'll actually use 5 dogs, 4 border collies and 1 guard dog. And each dog is doing different, one's pushing them forward, one's keeping them going too far forward, one's keeping the right lane of traffic, and the other one's keeping them out of your neighbor's vegetable garden kind of thing. So that's what they do, and they work together. That's the important thing.
Okay.
And you'll see a little of that at the festival. Again, the festival is that weekend at Deerfield Fair, and it's 9 to 5 on Saturday and 9 to 4 on Sunday. You know, it's Mother's Day, I believe. So come on over and buy some beautiful yarn for Mom. Right?
Right. Now, what was I going to ask? Oh, other animals there. Besides the sheep and the dogs, you've mentioned goats and alpacas. Is the 4-H involved in this at all?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. They're the ones that are primarily, nope, stay here, sit, lie down, good. They're the ones that are going to be showing the sheep. Most of those kids are in 4-H, yeah.
Right.
And 4-H is an arm of the extension, actually.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know
it's run.
that.
No, that's a good question. Yep. And I would say, folks, if you have any kids that are, you know, playing too much video games or anything else, a chance to get involved in 4-H is a great, great program, and it's not far from here. So, you know, it's worth looking into, and it's really very wonderful. I was going to tell you there's a bunch of these little flyers going out. We'll hold it up close later, but it just tells you the date and all and where it is. And then, as I said, you can go online and learn all about the festival if you want to.
Since it's in May, won't there be a lot of new lambs available?
There will be some new lambs. Some people who lamb to be out on grass will be lambing around then. That's correct. There should be some people with little lambs. Myself personally, because we're very involved with our fence business in the spring, we lamb in January and February. In fact, the 2 Easters, last weekend was one Easter, which is the Western Easter, and then we have the Greek Easter is next weekend. And so a lot of lambs went off for that.
I see.
Yep. But there will definitely be some baby lambs, baby alpacas, which we call crias, and then there'll be some baby goats, which we call kids. And there'll be baby llamas, which are little llamas.
I was sort of leading up to this with the babies. Is there a petting?
No, we have in the past. I don't think there is a petting zoo per se, but most of the people with the breed display, certainly the sheep are somewhat friendly, and I think that a child would get a chance to come over.
Sure.
Certainly handle the wool, and when I do my dog demos, at the end I put the sheep into the pen, and then I let the audience come in. I'll be running probably 6 or 7 sheep and 5 goats. So we'll be doing, so they can come and my goats are not fiber goats, they're meat goats called boar goats, but because I don't want to run fiber goats around in the heat.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
And Dot and her fellows can handle goats as well as sheep.
Oh, they handle everything. We also, on our farm, we have goats, boar goats. We have pigs. So if you go feed 10 pigs at 200 pounds, a bunch of grain, you better have a dog with you. And we have chickens, hundreds of chickens, and they'll actually herd them. But I'll have ducks at the festival.
Get all your ducks in a row.
Oh, very good, Earl.
Okay. I see. Well, thank you. I think we've about covered the festival.
Yeah.
Once more, can you give us the website and the date and
so it's
time?
New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Growers. So that's NHSW. F or SWGA really is what it is, and you can go online .org and learn all about those events. And it's going to be May 9th and 10th, again, at the Deerfield Fairgrounds, which is just exit 3 off of 101 going east from Manchester. And you won't have the long lines you experience going to the Deerfield Fair. It's not quite a big event. It's going to be a great day. We're not going to get rained on. We've already arranged that. And I think people would find it a lot of fun to go to.
I see.
And as I said, this will be the 40th. So it's been a great ride. I've really enjoyed working with people on it.
Well, before we sign off, obviously all of this involves close cooperation with animals, and I know that you've made a study of animal communication. Would you like to?
Sure. I mean, that's fine. Well, I think people need to understand that no matter what animal you have, you can communicate with them because they sense your energy, they sense your thoughts. I always like to tell my audience, you know, how many people have been sitting on their couch watching their favorite TV program and think, oh, I got to let the dog out, or oh, I got to feed the dog. And without saying anything, the dog goes to the dog dish or goes to the door.
They read you.
They read you. So myself, for instance, when I work this dog or another dog, a lot of times she'll anticipate what I want her to do before I even say anything. And I think that the same even goes for sheep. You know, we've had almost 14,000 lambs born on our farm in the last 40 years. And I can walk through and look at animals, a sheep, and just tell if she's having a problem, and it sounds crazy, and same with a horse breeder doing dressage, or a dairy cow guy. You know, he just knows all his cows, and he can just sense. Or you take the guy with a team of oxen or a team of draft horses, and he's working, pulling logs through the woods. You know, he can just visualize where he wants them to go, and they go it. This dog here, Dottie, I can actually look at a sheep, and she'll work her way through and get it and bring it back.
So she reads you that closely.
Yeah. So that's what's a lot of fun with these dogs. Yep. And it's like, I'm not going to try to explain how it happens. It's kind of crazy out there. But the other thing I think that's important is that when you are dealing with animals, there needs to be a certain amount of settling or calming touch. Like you see that she's licking me now. You know, if a dog is hurt or a dog is nervous, you can do a lot by just touching him. Same with a horse. You can get a horse to settle down. And it's true of nurses, for instance, with humans. You know, if a person's sick and all, and a lot of times you'll see them just, it's okay, relax, you know, and the person, then they give them the shot or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the same thing.
Okay, well, thank you. And
My
we
pleasure.
look forward to seeing a lot of that sort of thing
come on down
at
and
the
watch
fair.
us at the fair. I'd be happy to explain all about dogs. You get to see them work. As I said, we'll probably have 5 of them there.
5?
5 border collies.
That's from your farm, and then there
Yeah.
will be others.
There won't be, this year, it's one of the first years we won't actually have a border collie trial. This year there will not be a trial. We're hoping another year. They're talking about having a trial with Aussies, like a different type of trial, which is good.
Australian Shepherds,
Australian
they're a very closely related breed,
That's right.
aren't they?
And they work a little bit differently than the border collie, but yep. So that's good.
Okay.
Dot says, "Are we done yet?" Huh?
Dot's been very
See,
patient.
if she's done, then I can just go like this.
Right.
And so we're going to tell her if we want her to go. Dot, you ready to go? Okay.
And we're done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
See you next time.